Jacob, there's been a lot of talk about affordable housing this year. What's your plan?
Well, here's where I start from. Everybody has the right to live in a great city, and very quickly that's becoming not the case. We've got rents that are skyrocketing out of control. We have demand that is well surpassing supply, and people are being displaced. They're being displaced from some of the communities that they've grown to love, some of the communities that they've invested their time and money in. And that's not okay. And so one of the big reasons is that we've lost about 10,000 units of affordable housing just over the last 15 years alone. And the reason is why is because when we give a developer a subsidy to build affordable housing, it comes along with the requirement that it remain affordable for a certain number of years. Usually that's 10, 15, 20 years. But then after that 15 to 20 years is up, they can flip it back to market rate. So we're on this constantly revolving treadmill of trying to build more affordable housing while we're losing that which we have, and we're falling behind. So what I think is, we need a very consistent pot of funding that's not competing with some of your classic city issues, like fire and cops and streets, to make sure that we can afford affordable. And the way we're going to do that is this. Preferably working with some of our different multi-jurisdictional partners, Hennepin, Ramsey, Bloomington, Edina. We can create a pot of money by using what I would call kind of a value capture model, where you're taking certain parcels valued at $300,000 or $400,000 and above. We can expect those parcels to gain in value over the next, say, 6 to 8 years. So let's say it's got a property that's $400,000 now, it'll be $460,000, let's say, in 6 years. Now, that $60,000 worth of additional value results in new revenues. And if we were to pool a portion of those revenues separately, say 30 or 40% separately, then yeah, we could solve the affordable housing crisis, and we need to make sure we're looking at doing that.
Perfect. Where are you going to put it all?
Well, we have a long history in our city of segregating people, of segregating socioeconomic backgrounds and races, and we need to push back on that. We can't just continue to push all of the affordable housing, all of the Section 8, all of the low-income housing to North Minneapolis. I believe that affordable housing should be in every single neighborhood in our city. Every single neighborhood in our city deserves affordable housing, and I'll tell you what, that's beneficial to everybody. It's beneficial to the community because you have a rich diversity of socioeconomic backgrounds. It's beneficial to people in affordable because you can choose to live in a neighborhood of your choice. I'm sick of the intentional segregation, and we need to push back on it.
Great. So what about the supply of housing in general? What do you say about that?
Well, here's the reality, and people want to live in a city right now. They want to live in a great city, and demand is far surpassing what the supply presently is. Demand is far surpassing the supply. And so, yeah, a big part of affordable housing is actually building the supply so that people have housing, so that the supply is out there. And right now we're falling well short. And so I'll tell you what, in the Third Ward we've done that. Almost half of the total growth and investment in terms of new housing in the entire city is happening in the Third Ward. We've had formerly vacant and underutilized parcels that now have housing on them. And that's a really important step if we're going to solve the affordable housing crisis, is just increasing housing in general. And we've done it.
Unfortunately, there's been a real uptick in homelessness across the city. I think people are noticing that. What's your plan to address that?
There has been an uptick in homelessness, and I believe that everybody deserves a home, that foundation from which they can rise, that safe place where they can go home at night, they can close the door on the world and rejuvenate for a new day. We need that, and right now it's just not the case. So one of the big things, though, is if you look at our homeless population, is a huge percentage of them are working. They are working, yet they can't make up that difference, that gap between the cost of a shelter and the cost of our deepest affordable housing in the city. And so, we collectively are perpetually keeping them as homeless. And not only is that an immoral decision, I believe that everybody deserves a home. It's also a financially really bad decision because it costs about 3 times as much. It costs 3 times as much to keep a person homeless on the street, cycling through hospital stays and jail time, than it does just to give them a home. We can give them a home. We can provide the wraparound services. They could eventually move on up in the world and get jobs. And a big part of that is providing deeply affordable housing. You know, vast majority of the affordable housing that we're providing right now is at 50 and 60% of area median income. So it's affordable for someone who's making between 50 and 60% of area median income. And don't get me wrong, we need that. We also need housing at 30% of area median income to provide that next rung on the ladder so that people can uplift themselves.
Perfect. Where can folks find out more information about your housing policy and other policies as well?
Well, I want you to go to my website because this was not a complete rendition of everything that we've been working on in terms of housing. But go to jacobfrey.org, JACOBFREY.org, and I look forward to speaking with you.